This is it! 5 years in the making! 5 years! We're finally at the ending. The conclusion to the Mass Effect saga is here. We finally get to finish the fight. Unlike Halo 3 and Kingdom Hearts 2, where they claim you'll finally finish the fight that you started in previous games. And after finishing this game, I only have one thing to say. Thank you, BioWare. I fucking love this game! In order to give us one hell of a badass conclusion, BioWare did have to cheat a little. Well, actually, maybe a lot. Check out this image I picked up from Reddit's gaming section. It best explains what I mean when I say BioWare cheated. This is what people expected when we first started out our adventures in the Mass Effect universe. Each branching path represents a different choice you were expected to be able to make, starting with Mass Effect 1. As you progress to Mass Effect 2, each choice starts to become more and more varied, all the way until you reach the conclusion in Mass Effect 3, where there's practically a plethora of different possible endings. Now I understand this would be a complete bitch to make, where there would be 100 different endings and it would be near impossible to have one coherent story. So BioWare took a different approach, and might I say, it was the best choice as well. Since everyone's Shepard started out the same way, why not have them all end the same way as well? This is how things turned out instead. Notice how all the decisions that you made during Mass Effect 1 and 2 come back together once you hit the conclusion for Mass Effect 3. You get to pick the journey, you get to choose who lives and who dies, but the conclusion is finite. That's fucking brilliant! I just get shivers thinking about how awesome of an idea this is. Now with that said, the story for Mass Effect 3 is very linear in design. You'll pretty much have to tackle every mission as they come to you, with only a couple of the main story missions letting you choose the order in which you take them on. The difference here though is that when you're presented with a choice, you really have to think about your options. In Mass Effect 2, the choices were plain as day. You could either be a paragon of righteousness, or you could be a colossal dick. In Mass Effect 3, however, your choices aren't that simple. The options presented to you in the main game mainly fall into shades of gray, where you'll have to pick according to your own thought process rather than which one allows you to be good and which one allows you to be evil. I both like and dislike this, since your choices are now more often dedicated around the rules of war rather than morality or your own self-interest, making each choice that much more difficult. But also, it makes each choice that much more exhilarating. Your choice means a whole lot more this time around. Lives are at stake of each choice, rather than you worrying about if your shipmates are calling you names behind your back. The story may be more linear because of all these gray area choices, but that also allows BioWare to hone it in as well. They focus the game so that in your final visit to the Mass Effect universe, BioWare can deliver the best possible experience, and also so that you'll have one coherent story from beginning to end.
We should get in position. Flank them when they get off the tram.
Good thinking, Elsie.
Mass Effect 3 is like the Uncharted series. It doesn't aim to try to create some type of new gameplay mechanic, it just incorporates what's popular at the time. And nothing is wrong with that, as long as, unlike both series, you don't half-ass it and really put some time into making it work for your game. Mass Effect 3's gunplay is the best in the trilogy. There hasn't been some massive update to the gunplay this time around. The only real difference is the fact that you now have the Gears of War Captain Kirk standard combat role. It's a small addition, but a very welcome one too. What has seen a massive update this time around are the powers.
Not a problem for someone with biotics.
Biotic powers hit a hell of a lot harder this time. They're no longer meant to slow down an enemy while you put 2 bullets into them. Some powers make opponents explode into a bloody mess, while others can blast right through biotic shields and armor in one hit. And because of this, you might find yourself leaning on certain characters more than you would others, like Liara for example, and her biotic Singularity, which has no cooldown and Singularity can stop entire groups in their tracks. Or even James, whose Carnage attack can destroy an entire group of enemies that huddle too close together. Melee attacks have also received a nice update as well. You still have the quick standard pistol whip for enemies that get too close, but now you also have an even more damaging heavy melee attack that has been added to the game for those more aggressive players who get into their enemy faces, and a bullet is just too much of an impersonal touch. Look, I could sit here all day telling you about how this game is all sorts of awesome, but I can't because that would involve massive spoilers, because this game's story is threaded into each and every firefight that you get involved in. There aren't any real throwaway moments in this game. Everything is important. Mass Effect 3 is a massive achievement for the gaming industry. Few other games have tried to do what this game has accomplished and stay relevant by the time their final chapter rolls around. The game's story closes the book on all the different characters that you met throughout your entire journey, and the combat is a nice mix of different first-person shooters with powers thrown in for good measure. Honestly, this is just a perfect game as long as you've invested your time in with Mass Effect 1 and 2. Otherwise, It's completely generic. Because frankly, as I said, the combat is just lifted from other games, and everything about this game's story is outright lifted from other sci-fi sources. It's just meshed in a way that makes it different enough to be unique and completely awesome. Even though Mass Effect is the game that started it all, so many other games have stolen the idea of a moral choice system that you're just so used to it, it's no longer special. It's expected. My name's Quantum, and I'll see you next time.